to the jurisdiction and the like area enumerated in the Constitution of India. From filing a matter till its judgment, the students are unaware of the procedural aspects. Therefore, to bridge a gap between practice and theoretical knowledge, the college organizes various guest lectures, seminars, and webinars. We invite legal luminaries on such occasions. Today, we have Honorable Dr. Uday Varunjikar, Senior Advocate from High Court of Mumbai, amongst us for this webinar. He will enlighten you on the practical aspects and opportunities of High Court. Thank you.
Now I'm here to give brief introduction of Advocate Dr. Ujay Varunjikar sir. He has completed his educational qualifications as BSc LLB in 1994 from Pune University. He has passed LLM in 1996 from Bombay University. He has completed his diplomas in taxation laws in 1994 and diploma in labor laws in 1995. He has been awarded PhD degree from Savitribai Phule Pune University at Pune in July 2019. Sir has a teaching experience as being a lecturer to two commerce colleges in Mumbai and was teaching for 6 years from 1996 to 2002. He is having lot much of legal achievements where he is practicing as the advocate of High Court of Bombay for more than 27 years and he has handled around 15,000 cases till date. His major contribution in the area of disabled rights, rights of women, biomedical waste, noise pollution, water pollution and air pollution, and handling the matters of unauthorized constructions in Thane, Palghar and Pune is remarkable achievement. In his other achievements, he is author of two Marathi books, column writer in newspapers, invitee on talk shows on TVs and radio channels, panel member of MHADA, National Council of Technical Education, Jilla Parishad Satara. He has been invited in various programs of Pune University, Mumbai University, Shivaji University, and Bharati Vidyapeeth University. He is trainer of judicial officers for the state of Maharashtra. He is recipient of awards of ethical legal practitioner from Trans Asia Chamber of Commerce. He got award from Mumbai Grahak Panchayat. He has judged lot many moot court competitions, including the international ones. Then he has participated and submitted research papers in international conferences held in Hong Kong, Germany, Sydney, and Colombia. He has been invited and he has given speeches in BRICS Legal Forum at South Africa, Russia, Brazil between the years 2017-2020. He has held the posts like appointment as a member of expert committee for syllabus of cyber law in all non-agricultural universities by the state of Maharashtra. He is member of Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa, a statutory body since 2011, ex-vice president of Advocate Association of Western India, president of Consumer Court Advocates Association Maharashtra, vice president of Bar Association of India, Delhi since 2017. He is member of advisory board established under Right of Persons with Disability Act 2016, a member of Transfer of Human Organs Act 1994, member of committee to suggest amendments in Cooperative Societies Act for the state of Maharashtra, and member of committee to suggest amendments in preconception and prenatal diagnostics techniques rules formed by the government of India. He has devoted his time and energy for the upliftment of persons with disabilities. He got a remarkable work in this area, and because of him, we can see that there are more than 1,200 posts have been filled up of the people with handicap or the disabled persons in the government jobs of the government of Maharashtra. So we have such a legal luminary today with us for delivering us with a speech of the High Court practice, procedure and opportunities. Now I request Dr. Uday Varunjikar sir to deliver his speech on the issue.
Namaskar.
Namaskar.
It's a pleasure to meet all young friends who are on that side. Nobody even thought of such a situation. Around a couple of years back, I came and I interacted with several students in the campus of our college. At that point of time, I assured that very soon we will meet. But that very soon was a rather wish only perhaps, because of the lockdown, we all were compelled to change our normal life, which includes the manner in which the lectures are delivered and the educational or the co-curricular activities are conducted. So hopefully now by this time you are well acquainted with the procedure as to how the lectures are conducted online, the etiquettes and all other things. So therefore now let me make an appeal to all my young friends, those who wish to uh, raise any question. They can go in the chat box, they can type their questions, and I'm sure the organizers will ask those questions to me. The second appeal is this, that those who are participant, they kindly mute their mic and off their camera, because ultimately I am also a human being, and this kind of obstruction may create something which will be not useful for all other young friends on that side. So having said about this, let me start. Uh, the High Court practice procedure and the opportunity is a topic which has been assigned to me. I'm sure in the constitution, or even if we go back to our schools, in the topic of civics, we have studied about the judiciary. And after taking admission to the law courses, I'm sure you have got a better insight in respect of the judiciary. As a student of law, now our attempt in this session would be to consider the different provisions, to know about the practice, procedure, and the opportunities in respect of the High Court. Of course, the opportunities will be for those lawyers who wish to practice at the level of the Honorable High Court. Having said about this initial thing, I must say that as a student of law, every student should have a pocket constitution with him or her. For example, this is that pocket constitution. This pocket constitution cost hardly around 500 or 600. There are various publishers who will give you a pocket edition of the constitution. But my appeal to all my young friend is this, that without fail, you should have your own pocket constitution. Miss Pratiksha Ahire, will you kindly close your camera? Thank you, madam. I was referring about the such kind of obstructions, and therefore I am thankful to the young student who immediately responded positively. Thank you. The appeal to my young friends is this, that as a student of law, and if you are keen in having more and more knowledge about the field of law, then without fail you will have to keep a pocket edition of the constitution ready with you. Instead of celebrating for a birthday, I can suggest that you can go for such kind of a small book which is known as a pocket edition of the constitution. Having said about this kind of a tip, I must also tell you that you people are more techno savvy, so therefore the constitution can be downloaded on your mobile phone, or if you are using a laptop or the desktop, you can download that, which can be made more handy, so that whenever possible you can go back to that constitution. As a student of law, I must tell you that you will have to ask questions and find out the answers within the meaning of within the framework of the constitution. And therefore we will try to find out the answer about the practice procedure in the constitution itself. And those who are interested, they may note down in the constitution chapter 5, Roman 5, deals with the High Court in the state. Now we are aware that in the constitution there is a separate chapter with reference to the judiciary at central level, then that means the Supreme Court, then the High Court at the state level, and the next chapter which is known as subordinate judiciary. Subordinate judiciary includes the district court and other courts which are subordinate to the district. But so far as today's topic is concerned, it is about the High Court in the state So therefore, I'm going to make a reference about some articles which you may note down if you are keen on getting that kind of academic knowledge also. It says Article 214 says there will be a High Court for each state. But now you will ask a simple question that how come there is a common High Court for the Bombay High Court and for the state of Maharashtra and for state of Goa. Now you will find there is a provision which says that Article 231 which says that the High Court can be for more than one state, namely a common High Court can be there. So having said about this, there will be another question apart from the Bombay, namely the state of Maharashtra, you will find state of Goa is also there, and there are two union territories which are having the territorial jurisdiction of the Bombay High Court. I am sure you are aware about that. Dadra Nagar Haveli, where it is. You must be aware about the technical, aware about the geographical location. The geographical location is on the north side of Bombay. You will find the Palghar district is there. After you cross the boundary of the Palghar district, you will come to know that there is a union territory which is known as the Daman and Diu. Where do you get Daman and Diu? Daman, okay, no difficulty, there is a seashore. But where do you get Diu? That is again around 600 kilometers on the northern side, and the southern side of state of Gujarat you will find the place by name Diu, where the Bombay High Court is the parent High Court for that place, which is around 800 kilometers away from the place of the High Court. Why? Because those were coming under the control and the jurisdiction of the Portuguese. So therefore, that is treated as a separate entity, which is a union territory having a special existence, and that particular Daman as well as Diu is coming under the jurisdiction of the Bombay High Court. You will recollect around 30 seconds back I made a reference about the another union territory, that is a Dadra Nagar Haveli, and the headquarters is at Silvassa. A district court is having very good attractive building is there at Silvassa, very good bar is there, very cooperative advocates are there, as well as at Daman is a district court where you will find that again a very small bar is also there. So therefore, so far as Bombay High Court is concerned, state of Maharashtra, state of Goa and two union territories are there. So where do you get the power with reference to union territories? That is Article 230, which says that the one High Court can have an extension of the power over the union territories. Now this is about the territorial jurisdiction. But coming back to the constitutional framework, you will find Article 215. Please make a note and write down in the corner IMP, because this Article 215 is something different which may require some kind of a interaction. It says High Court is a court of record. This is that inverted comma, court of record. What do you mean by word court of record? You will have to do a little homework about this. This article makes the High Court as a distinct and separate feature than the subordinate court. Not only a constitutional court, because it is a constitutional court because the writ court means the High Court, writ court means the Supreme Court, but there is a homework why High Court is called as a court of record. You will find the material is available online. Make a little homework about that and you will come to know that why High Court has been made as a court of record. Apart from that, Article 215 says that there is a power to punish for contempt of court, power to punish the contempt of that particular court. The High Court can punish a contemner for committing a contempt of the order passed by the High Court. That's a very unique power. Take a case that there is a civil judge junior division or civil judge senior division or even a district judge or a tribunal which is constituted under any law. Whether those judges are having the power to punish the contemner under the provisions of Contempt of Court Act? No, that power is with the High Court, that is under section 10 of the Contempt of Court Act. But apart from that, the High Court is having its own jurisdiction which is flowing from Article 215. This is similar as that of the power of the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Having said about this, you will come to know that, of course, then there will be a separate procedure with reference to the contempt and separate kind of the matters which are dealt with by the Honorable High Court so far as the contempt jurisdiction is concerned. 215, we have seen 216 contemplates the Chief Justice, 217 contemplates the judges of the High Court, and there are two types of the honorable judges. One is a additional or a other judge or a acting judge. So these are the two types of the judges. It also provides the qualification. Then you will come to know that the procedure for removal is that impeachment, which is covered under Article 218. Then there is an oath which is provided under Article 219. 220 contemplates that there will be restrictions on the practice. Once you are a permanent judge, you can't practice before the same judge or a same court or the courts which is subordinate. Then you will come to know that ultimately the most important is Article 226 and 227. And I'm going to ask you a simple question. That question will be whether the High Court is having a more wider power, or whether Supreme Court is having a more wider power so far as the breach of fundamental rights are concerned. I'm sure you must have seen Article 32, you must have seen Article 226, and this is a question to all of you. I do not know whether on this platform there is a facility to type the answers, but if it is there, then you can type your answer in the chat box and respond to the question. My question is very simple. The question is, which is the authority who is having a wider jurisdiction while dealing with the breach of fundamental rights, whether it's a Supreme Court of India under Article 32 or High Court under Article 226 of Constitution of India 1950. You can start searching. I'm sure those students who are there, they are techno savvy. You can start searching on your mobile or on a different search engine. But let me tell you, you will get a information and not a knowledge. For getting a better and better knowledge, you will have to attend the classes and go to the law schools, so that you will get more and more knowledge. Dear friends, young friends, keep this in mind, that all those search engines like Bingo or like Yahoo or that Google or that even Wikipedia, all that will give you information, not a knowledge. So therefore, if you want a knowledge, then apply your mind, keep your analytical mind ready, and then find out the answers. Having said about this, let me go a little ahead and let me tell you, the power of the High Court is not only restricted by Article 226. The another source of power is Article 227, which says power of superintendence. Power of superintendence means call for the return from the subordinate court, issue rules, and lay down the forms with reference to the practice which is to be followed by the High Court or the subordinate court, or prescribe the forms which are required to be maintained by the High Court or the other subordinate court. This is that power of superintendence. The power of superintendence is also over the subordinate courts and the tribunals which are established. The fees of an advocate, those fees of an advocate can also be regulated by the High Court under Article 227, sub-Article 3. This is something unique. Having said about this preliminary aspect, let me take all of you back to the one of the feature which is available, and those who are interested, they may note down the actual pendency. So far as the pendency in all high courts is concerned, the total pendency is around 58 lakh. As on today, while making a preparation about the session which I am delivering in front of all of you, I made a inquiry, and I checked that the total civil cases are 41,65,000 are the total civil cases in the entire high courts in all over India. And so far as the criminal cases are concerned, you will come to know that hardly 16 lakh cases are there. So the total is around 58 lakhs, which includes 41 lakh 65,000 civil and 16 lakh 69,000 criminal cases. Since we are dealing with the Bombay High Court, then let me tell you what is that figure with reference to the total cases which are pending before the Bombay High Court. You will find 4 lakh 62 cases are civil type cases and hardly 91,000 criminal cases are pending before the Bombay High Court, which makes it 5.5 lakh or 5.53 is the accurate figure. So therefore you will come to know that hardly 5.5 lakh cases are pending. Now the further segregation or further groupism of these cases is made, then you will come to know that out of this 5.5 lakh, the large chunk is those writ petitions. There may be writ petitions on the civil side, there may be writ petitions on the criminal side. On the civil side, around 1 lakh 1,000 civil writ petitions are there, whereas on the criminal side, 22,000 criminal writ petitions are there. The total is 1,28,000 are the writ petitions. We are aware that the writ petitions means the petitions which are either filed under Article 226 or 227 of the Constitution of India. Apart from that, another large chunk is number of the applications which are filed for different purposes, which includes the applications on the criminal side and the applications on the civil side. That figure is around 1,40,000, out of which 1,21,000 is on the civil side and hardly 19,000 on the criminal side. So the roughly 1.4 lakh is the applications which are pending, 1.23 are the writ petitions which are pending. Somebody may be interested on the pure civil side where the first appeals and the second appeals are there. You will come to know hardly 18,000 second appeals are pending and around 50,000 first appeals are pending. Somebody may be interested in revisions. You will come to know that so far as the revisions are concerned, hardly 9,000 revisions are pending before the Honorable High Court. Now the last month was having a summer vacation, namely the May month. But this statistic will show you that even in this May month and during the pandemic, the last month filing was 2,498 matters were filed on the civil side and 1,844 matters were filed on the criminal side, which makes aggregate tally as 4,342 matters were filed last month. That shows that the Bombay High Court was working even in this pandemic situation. Now the question will come, how Dr. Advocate Uday Varunjikar is getting all this data? From where? What is the source? And there is nothing secret, and therefore I can share with you that you will have to visit the official website of the Bombay High Court. This is that tip which I am sharing with you. Once you visit the Bombay High Court website, you will come to know that there is a National Judicial Data Grid, that is known as NJDG. That kind of option is available. While using the website of the High Court, what you are going to get? You are going to get information about the honorable judges. You are going to get information about the different services which are provided under the by the High Court. You will get information about the different facilities which are provided by the Honorable High Court. So these are the things which are available on the official website of the Bombay High Court, which you should visit as a student of law without fail. Having said about this, you will come to know the case status of the matter. Now anybody sitting anywhere in the world, you can check the case status of your matter. The search engine of the Bombay High Court website will tell you that you can search it on the basis of the names of the parties or names of the lawyers or even by the numbers. The search can be based on the types of the matters also. Namely, as I said, that there may be first appeal, there may be second appeal, there may be criminal application, there may be criminal revision, there may be something other. So based on that, you can search. There are different types, different assistance which are provided under the this kind of a search which is available. You will come to know that the last listing of that matter will also be made available to you. The orders which are passed will also be made available to you on that website. Apart from that, you will come to know that there is a very good facility which says that the reportable judgments and unreported judgments are also made available on the official website of the High Court. What do you mean by the reportable and the non-reportable judgments? The honorable judges, after delivering a judgment, they can scrutinize the judgment and categorize it as a reportable or non-reportable. If some question of law is settled and if the honorable judges feel that the judgment is worth reporting to the public at large, then those judgments can be reported in the website of the High Court. And if the editor also feels that the unreportable judgment is also worth reporting, then that can also be done. But the journals which are available in our college library or in the office of the lawyer, or you can find behind me, there are some journals which are there. Those journals also report those reported judgments or unreported judgments. Sometimes questions are asked to us. Sir, what is this meaning of the word single bench, division bench, full bench, etc.? You will come to know that those judgments are also available on the website of the High Court, namely the full bench judgment, division bench judgment. The judgments can be searched on the basis of the Act. Namely, take a case that the Disaster Management Act. We are familiar with this Act very recently. In 2005, this Act was enacted. We are familiar because several cases are registered and virtually every day some new notification is being issued under the Disaster Management Act. So you can make a search saying that give me the judgment on the Disaster Management Act. So that is also possible. Now, having said about this, you will come to know which are the types of the matters which are filed before the Honorable High Court. If you visit this Bombay High Court official website, namely bombay-highcourt.nic.in, those who wish to write down BOMBAY, that is Bombay, no space between any of the word. So Bombay High Court, HIGHCOURT.NIC.in, bombay-highcourt.nic.in. NIC is National Information Center. We are aware that it is situated at Pune near SPPU on the Ganesh Kind Road, Pune. So bombay-highcourt.nic.in is that that address, and you will come to know that very substantial information is available. If somebody is interested in legislative debate, there is a library of the Honorable Judges, Bombay High Court Library. You will find a treasure. You will find that what a classic collection is there, and those online books are available. Old books are available. The charters by virtue of which the High Court has been established is also available. We are aware that 1861 is the year when the High Court was established, but you will be surprised, before that, almost 200 years back, the High Courts were established at Bombay, Madras and Calcutta after the Mayor's Courts were established. Those were abolished. Then the Supreme Courts were established. Supreme Courts were abolished, and then 1861, after the Queen's Proclamation, the High Court Act was enacted. After this, Bombay High Court was established, you will come to know that bar associations were also established. And I am very proud to share with all of you that I was having the honor of becoming one of the vice president of the oldest organization of the advocates, which was established in 1864, not 1964. In the 1864, Advocate Association of Western India was established. I am a proud member of that organization for last more than 27 years. And apart from that, I was having that responsibility of one of the vice president of the Advocate Association of Western India. Having said about this, let me take all of you back to the types of the matters. As I said, the writ petition, first appeal, second appeal, appeal from order, letters patent appeal, PIL, FEMA appeal, arbitration appeal, arbitration petition, miscellaneous civil application for transfer, civil revision application, contempt petition, FEMA, FERA appeal, civil reference, family court appeal, tax appeal, transfer cases, suo motu PIL, suo motu writ petition review. Oh my God, so many types of the matters are there. You will find on the criminal side, ABA, that is anticipatory bail, bail application, appeal, appeal against acquittal, criminal writ petition, criminal revision, criminal PIL, criminal application under 482 of CRPC, sumoto criminal writ petition, sumoto criminal PIL, criminal contempt, criminal confirmation case, and criminal review. So many types. And I must tell you, the High Court is having the original jurisdiction where you will find such a big list of the matters which includes the suit and so many other things which are there. So the another homework, find out which are the types which are available on the High Court website so far as the original side jurisdiction is concerned. Now the question will come in front of you that I made a reference about the original jurisdiction. But where do you get a territorial aspect about the original jurisdiction? We are aware that the Bombay was a presidency town. So therefore, from the legal point of view, there were two rent act. One is presidency rent act and the provincial rent act. Even with reference to the Municipal Corporation Act, earlier the legislation was the today's legislation Maharashtra Municipal Corporation. It was earlier known as Bombay Provincial Municipal Corporation Act. So rest of Maharashtra was known as the provincial area. So therefore, for Mumbai, you will find which is that area which is applicable, and that is provided under the rules. Please make a note, that is a original side rules which are framed by the Honorable High Court. This is that book which every advocate should keep it in his office or her office if you wish to practice in the Bombay High Court on its original side. Rule 26 provides that the territorial jurisdiction, you will find initially it was restricted to only 7 villages. We are aware about the history of Bombay. But later on, there was a Bombay municipality, which was known as the Bombay Island. Then slowly and gradually, the boundaries were expanded, and the boundaries of the Bombay Municipal Corporation, which includes different villages, is now provided under Rule 26. So that Rule 26 of the original side rule, you will find that that is an area in respect of which this entire act, this entire original jurisdiction is available. Original jurisdiction contemplates that if you wish to practice on the original side, you will have to register once again with the Bombay High Court. Why? Because there are separate kind of the matters which are dealt in the Bombay High Court on its original side. After registration as an advocate under the Advocates Act with Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa, usually you do not, you does not require any further registration. But original side contemplates that there is a need for a further registration. Apart from that, there are 2 more restrictions. One, if you wish to practice on the original side of the Bombay High Court, then you will have to appoint a registered clerk and notify the same with the protonotary and senior master, namely the senior-most officer of the original side registry. Why? Because the person who is practicing in Bombay on the original side, he will have to declare that who is his registered clerk. Apart from that, the rule also provides, that is Rule 6, which says that you will have to provide official address within the territorial jurisdiction of the original side, namely. So therefore, if any person is there, then he will have to provide, he will have to open his or her office in Mumbai if you wish to practice on the original side. But if you wish to practice on the appellate side, then what? Appellate side is also one of the big jurisdiction where large number of advocates are practicing even today. For appellate side, you will find there is again appellate side rules which are framed. This is that book which is available, which is known as the appellate side rules, which are framed in the year 1960. Both are there in from 1960 the appellate side, 1980 original side, which contemplates that which matters will go before the single judge, which matter will go before the division bench. This is the most important rule which you should know. You will find this rule is available on both sides, namely the original side as well as the appellate side. Let me tell you about the original side. You will find administrative suits are there, commercial suits are there, the regular suits are there on the original side. There are company appeals, company petition, company applications are there. Apart from that, you will find arbitration appeal, arbitration petition, arbitration applications are there. You will also find that different tax matters are there, like income tax matters, customs tax, custom duty, excise duty, gift tax. All these are having their matters which come to the original jurisdiction of the Bombay High Court. Then the insolvency petitions also come before the Bombay High Court on its original side. Lunacy petition, mental health petition, they also come. SEBI, we are aware about SEBI. So SEBI appeals also come before the Bombay High Court. I'm sure today you must have read in the newspaper about the losing the member of parliament seat by a member of parliament from Amravati. That was passed in the election petition by the Bombay High Court. That election petition is also filed on the appellate file on the original side of Bombay High Court. You will find so many different types of the matters are there which are on the original side. Then apart from the Parsi Marriage Act, Parsi Testamentary Act, testamentary provisions, Parsi marriage petitions, so many other types of matter. The court receiver reports are also on the appellate side. The official liquidator reports are also submitted on the original side of the Bombay High Court. Having said about this, let me tell you that which matter will go before single judge, which matter will go before division bench, or which matter will go before the full bench, and what is the procedure for that. That all things are provided in these rules. Having said about this, let me tell you, there are 3 more rules which are more important for an advocate, which you will find in these original or appellate side rule. One is the rules which are framed under section 16 subsection 2 of the Advocates Act. We are aware that after the Advocate Act was enacted, all kinds of or all types of the practitioners were united and they were known as now advocate. Prior to that, there were muktyas, there were pleaders, there were advocates, there were practitioners. By whatever name they were called, there were 6 different types which were available at that point of time under the different names, different legislations were there. They have been unified. But under the now Advocate Act, there are only 2 classes. One, advocate, and another is a senior advocate. Senior advocate means the advocate who has been designated by the honorable judges of the High Court. Those are under the Rule 16 subsection 2 of the Advocate Act. The power is given and the rules have been framed. And there is a judgment of Indira Jaising, which is delivered by the Honorable Supreme Court of India in the case of Indira Jaising. Please make a search. You will come to know that that judgment has given a guidelines as to how a designation as a senior advocate can be conferred on the advocate, and that is under section 16(2). With reference to regulating the affairs of an advocate, you will find under section 34 of the Advocate Act, the power is given to the High Court, and therefore that is the power, and those rules which are framed by exercising that power are also published in these original side and appellate side rule. Apart from that, the rules for the advocate clerk. Advocate clerk include 2 types, the managing clerk, namely the registered clerk, or the otherwise. So these are the 2 types of the clerk. The rules are there with reference to that. Having said about this, I believe that the enough material I have shared with you. Now let me tell you, though the pendency of the matter is hardly 5.5 lakh, but High Court is a place where you will get an opportunity to argue in the Constitutional Court. You will get an opportunity to deal with the matters which are about the infringement of the fundamental right. Apart from having appellate jurisdiction, namely the first appeal, second appeal, criminal appeal, or appeal against acquittal, you will come to know the writ petition is that biggest rather scope which is available if you are practicing at the High Court level. So therefore, I can very well and honestly share with you that this is the place where the sky is the limit so far as the opportunities are concerned. It is popularly said that High Court is a place where you will get a feedback in terms of the opportunities. The opportunities are sky is the limit about the opportunities, and apart from that, there are no hurdles such as the caste, creed, race, religion, etc., or even the other hurdles which are there. Those hurdles are not there. Usually, for a young lawyer, we ask them where you wish to practice. You will find that now there is a trend that large number of lawyers are willing to practice before the Honorable High Court. It's a good sign. But having said about this, let me tell you that there is a responsibility, and once you move to the Superior Court or the Constitutional Court, the responsibility multiplies. And therefore, once you come before the Honorable High Court, a wise senior will tell you, in the High Court, if you wish to practice, then you should know what you should argue, and more importantly, what you should not argue. These are the two important things which you should keep in mind. It's almost 44 minutes which are over. So therefore, now it's time to wind up my session and open the floor for the question and answer if the organizers so permit. By 2 o'clock, we will wind up this entire session. So therefore, let me wish every success to all my young friends who are on that side. I'm sure some of you will start practice in the Bombay High Court. I'm sure that this session for last 44 minutes is not complete in itself, but this has given you some general guidelines or general idea about the practice and the procedures and the opportunities which are available in the Bombay High Court. I'm sure we will meet once again. As I expressed 2 years back when I came in your campus, I told everyone at that time that let us meet again and again. It's my pleasure to meet all my young friends of this college once again. I'm sure very soon we will meet once again, and I hope and trust that the next meeting will be in the physical format. Till that point of time, stay home, stay safe. I express my deep sense of gratitude to the principal madam and Vivek sir and the entire teaching and non-teaching staff. Let us stop here. Thank you.
Sir, can we invite questions from the students? Yeah, there is Dr. Raju Joshi. He want to ask you something. Dr. Raju Joshi, you just unmute yourself and ask your query.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for such a wonderful lecture. I am a medical doctor doing LLB, and I have filed a writ petition. I just wanted to thank you. No questions, sir.
Okay. Yes.
All right. Vivek sir,
yes, sir.
It seems that on this platform, there is no facility of giving an answer. Am I correct?
Yeah, chat box is not working right now, sir.
Correct. So therefore, yes. Now it won't be a fair on my part if I don't disclose the answer. I asked them a question, and yes. I was expecting that by end of my session, they will start giving an answer, and then I can calculate how many were successful. But since the chat box facility has been regulated by the software people or by the organizers, let me declare the answer. You will find High Court is having a wider power than the Supreme Court if we are considering the writ jurisdiction. The answer is High Court. Why? And where do you get this? You will have to compare Article 32 wording with Article 226 wording. Article 32 is having all those words which are in 226 also. But 226 contemplates something more than that. I'll tell you. The first is that the High Court is having the power which are similar as that of 32, but apart from that, for any other manner, the power of the High Court can be exercised. Article 226 contemplates the territories in respect of which the power can be exercised. Then it refers about the types of the writs which are there. Then it refers about the enforcement of the fundamental rights. And the most important last 4 words are, for any other purpose, the High Court is having the power. So the answer is, Article 226 is having a wider power than the Article 32 power, which is with the Honorable High Court. And you will come to know that there are several judgments on this topic. Anyway, if anybody wish to ask any more question, let us welcome them.
Yes.
Yes,
Vicky,
Vicky Gaikwad.
you want? Yes.
Hello, Uday sir. First of all, thank you for this wonderful session. So I have two questions. The first question is, we are in, I'm in now first year of my LLB, okay, 3-year LLB course. So for being a successful lawyer, whether in a district or in high court, being a successful lawyer, there will be a particular skill set we should carry. Okay. So since I'm in our first year, so what that particular skill set which can start working from my initial year, so that when I will pass out, I will not be the struggle in my while pursuing my career. This was the first question. And second question, sir, I have an engineering degree background. Okay. So what will be my, how can should I take advantage of that degree while pursuing the law career in further onwards? That are the two questions, sir.
All right. Be analytical. This is the first quality which you should develop. Collect more and more information. That's a second quality which you should develop. The third quality, be humble. Fourth most important is take the responsibility of wearing a black coat, because once you wear a black coat, you are not an ordinary citizen. There are judgments about that aspect also, because once you wear a black coat, you will become a public servant, or you are supposed to use that black coat and the black robe for the society. So therefore, the society looks at you from a different angle. So you will have to keep this in mind. And apart from that, since you are in the first standard, I'll tell you that you should participate in all all activities of a college, be it a elocution, be it a moot court, be it a debate, be it a dancing, be it a singing, be it any type of the activities. Because for shaping your personality or for grooming you as a good lawyer, you will be required different skills, and the curricular and extracurricular activities which you are conducted in the college will be helpful in shaping your personality. Having said about this, let me tell you that since you are having an engineering background, perhaps you can choose a specialization topics which are about the technology. That will be more convenient to you. Or perhaps it is possible that in near future you can start your practice, which will be having a nexus with the knowledge and the information which you are having. I must tell you that there are very few persons who get a opportunity to practice in that field where they are having a liking, or practice in that field where they are having a desire. I hope and wish that you will be the person who will get that opportunity to practice in that field where you are having a desire and the educational qualification, namely engineering. Thank you. Any other question?
So Mohan Vishnu is there. Yes, Mohan. Mohan Vishnu, you can ask the question.
I'm audible?
Yes.
So, if a student or if a lawyer who is not a resident of Mumbai or the jurisdiction of Bombay High Court wishes to practice in the Bombay, how he should establish his network?
You can practice even if you are not a resident of Bombay, because for original side suits, the registration in Bombay is required. Otherwise, for the appellate side, there is absolutely no problem. But your question is intending to some other skill, namely the networking skill. And I am sure the networking skill for the High Court is something different. Because the High Court is having a appellate jurisdiction. That appellate jurisdiction is spread over the 10 districts, which includes Pune. So therefore, from Pune, Nasik, Satara, Sangli, Kolhapur, Solapur, Ratnagiri, Sindhudurga, Thane, Palghar, Raigad, all these 10 districts, and then Dadra Nagar Haveli, Diu Daman, you will find Bombay is a place. So therefore, you will have to expand your wings and develop your contacts in these 10 different districts. You will have to see that those advocates from those subordinate courts from those 10 districts will brief you if you are practicing on the appellate side of the Bombay High Court. So therefore, all networking skills which are required for any other profession, those are the same, except the most important red signal is soliciting is not permissible in our profession. Advertising is not permissible in our profession. I hope for the time being this is sufficient for Mohan Vishnu. Any other question, please?
Yes, Prashant General, you can ask. Prashant, you can ask the question.
Yeah. Okay. And my question straight to sir is that how the intellectual property law is being judiciously practiced in India nowadays, and how we can seeing a good fortunate future in terms of a career perspective in the intellectual property perspective, and what are the key suggestions you might be giving us kind of a guidance in terms of that?
Let us be very frank. Intellectual property litigation is comparatively once in a or twice in a full moon. That means the litigation is not substantial. It is developing. Rapidly it is developing. But the speed is such that in Bombay High Court you will find in a fortnight maybe couple of matters are filed or 3 or 4 matters are filed. That doesn't mean that there are no opportunities. The opportunities are there where if you go for registration of the IPR, if you go for issuance of the notice, if you go for compliances which are required for IPR, these are the opportunities which are available. You will find there are very few firms which are exclusively practicing in the field of IPR. But there are firms which are exclusively in the field of IPR. Coming to the international angle, you will find that there is again a opportunity which is available. But as I said that you should acquire a better qualification because it's a super specialty field. So therefore, while doing your LLB or after LLB, you can complete one diploma course or otherwise or even a degree course in respect of the IPR. And I'm sure by that time there will be much better opportunities so far as the IPR is concerned. It is developing, but as compared to civil, criminal or the other field, it is not that developing. So therefore, it will take some more time. But still, about the cyber law, about this IPR, the future is good, and you should acquire a additional qualification. Since I am making a reference about the additional qualification, let me tell you, by this time, large number of lawyers are there. Last year, CET goes to show that 154 law schools are there which are registered with the Maharashtra CET. There are private universities or the deemed universities who are conducting the CET. They apart from the CLAT. So therefore, you will find that more than 160 law schools are there in the state of Maharashtra, and around 26,000 students are 26,000 seats are there in the CET. Having said about that, let me therefore make an appeal to all my young friends on that side. The appeal is now you will have to acquire a additional qualification, maybe post-graduation, maybe a PhD, maybe a diploma courses which are postgraduate diploma or otherwise, but you will have to acquire. Any other question, please?
Yes, Mr. You can ask the question. Smita Gorpade, you can ask the question.
Yes, sir. I have an experience of 10 years in corporate industry, so wanted to know for being a corporate lawyer, what additional skills will be required?
If you are having a background of a corporate, then if possible, apply for CS. Company secretary is also one of the good skill, good job, good opportunities, and even a freelance CS or a in-house CS, that is also possible. The firm of the CS is possible. And apart from that, if you wish to practice on the corporate side, then the compliances which the company secretary is doing, that is also possible. Large number of lawyers are also doing that. Apart from that, if you wish to practice on the litigation side of a corporate, then that is also possible. But for that particular purpose, it can be either the company law matters or the other matters. So it can be NCLT, where you can go for even insolvency or the winding up petitions, etc. So therefore, that is again scope which is available. but it's a good sign. And having a 10 years experience, I feel that you can do better. Next one, please.
Yeah, Prasad Kulkarni, you can ask question.
The days to come, as you mentioned, there are 50 lakh cases which are pending right now. So, what is the future scope of that, and how a young lawyer who is budding to join the legal field should start with?
If you ask me in the reverse manner, then start at the district level first, because you will get some basic idea, basic knowledge, and you will come to know what is what. And then if you wish, then you can shift at the high court level. And if further wish, then go to the Supreme Court level. As a junior, you will have to get knowledge of all different fields of law. So therefore, according to me, you should do that. Now your question was restricted to those number of cases which I made a reference, that 58 lakh cases in the all high courts and more than 5.5 lakh in Bombay High Court. I know there is a large number of pendency, but despite that, there is a career opportunity which is available, and once you will join the profession, I am sure the pendency can be reduced. I hope this is a short, I know this is short answer, but for the time being, this is sufficient. It is 1:56, so let us take one or two more, because at 2 p.m. I am having a online hearing.
Yes, sir. Jayesh, you can ask a question, and this will be the last question we can have.
Afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for such a wonderful session. My question was relating to advertising code of conduct for lawyers. Now these days we are seeing that many of the lawyers or company secretaries or CAs, what they are doing is they are incorporating a LLP or company, and that LLP or company is owning a website, and on website they are showcasing different services. For example, India filing website. So over there they show various services. For example, in case of legal services, for example, divorce, they will show 2,500 rupees fees, or company incorporation, they will show 10,000 fee, and by that way they solicit the client. So is that permissible as per our code of conduct?
Okay, answer is very simple. That is not permissible. Advocate Act contemplates that we as a lawyer is the only class which is recognized under the Act to practice the profession of law. So therefore, those who are non-registered under the Advocate Act will not be allowed to practice the profession of law. It is possible that if there are such kind of an advertisement, then we can file a case before the Bombay High Court in which the action can be initiated. There can be a complaint which can be filed by the Secretary of the Bar Council against those kind of the websites. There can be a disciplinary case if an advocate is involved in any of the LLP. Because as rightly said by you, that there are persons who are advocates, but they are a partner of the LLP. So therefore, if a partner of the LLP is now making an advertisement, then that is not permissible. But having said about this, let me make one more thing clear, that a limited website is permissible under the Bar Council of India letter. That limited website means only basic details can be provided. So therefore, if you visit the website of different LLP or different firm, there will be a disclaimer clause which is there. So therefore, they say that this is nothing to do about soliciting, but in fact, they are soliciting. So therefore, it is not permissible. And therefore, if such cases are there, please bring it to the notice of the Bar Council, but send it to me. We will take them to the logical end. Having said about this, I must tell you that it was a wonderful session with all of you. And then I'll have to pause here. Stay home, stay safe. Back to the organizers.
Thank you very much, sir. I know
Thank
that
you,
you
sir.
are scheduled. So, not for going to the formalities of vote of thanks, but we sincerely have to thank you very much, sir, because it was a wonderful session that we had. And on behalf of Yashwantrao Chavan Law College, Principal Ma'am, and all the teaching and non-teaching staff and students, I'm here to thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We will be meeting again, sir. Again and again we will meet. And as you wish that we are going to meet physically in the college, yes, definitely we'll do that, sir. So, Principal Ma'am, can we end the session?
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
you. So
sir.
to end the meeting so that we can join our pursuits thereafter. Madam, can I close the meeting?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, have a good day, guys. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.